You know, all these Republicans are always talking about fiscal responsibility. You got to balance the budget. You got to know how to, handle your financial affairs, right? You remember Newt Gingrich? He was running, of course, for the presidency in 2012. Did pretty well, actually. Almost beat Mitt Romney. Raised a ton of money from Sheldon Adelson and some other folks, tens of millions of dollars. So with all that money, obviously, he balanced his books, right? I mean, for the campaign, that's the one thing he had to run. He didn't have anything else to run. You can see where this is going. Nope. So report out today in Huffington Post, the campaign still owes $4.6 million to dozens of businesses that provided things like transportation, voter canvassing, and yard signs. Most of those are small businesses that believed in Newt Gingrich, that provided him services, gave him blood, sweat, and tears, as you're going to see in some of the stories in a second. And he's like, you sucker, you think I'm going to pay you? No, I'm going to put it in my pocket and go take fancy vacations. So the Federal Election Commission records show that the Gingrich campaign's list has only brought in a little more than $1 million since he dropped out of the race. And his debt has only declined by $300,000. Now, it's been a long time since 2012. So in those 3 years, he brought in some extra money. A lot of it, I assume, went to interest payments. So he only brought the debt down by $300,000. So he's still got the $4.6 million in debt he owes. You think he's ever going to pay that? How's he going to pay that? Who would now donate to Newt Gingrich for a campaign he's no longer running that he ran as a miserable failure 3 years ago? Again, to be fair, I mean, he gave Mitt Romney a run for his money, literally, for a little while. But he's not running now. Of course, nobody's going to give him money for that. You think Newt Gingrich is going to pay it out of his own pocket? That's a good one. Newt Gingrich. By the way, if you don't know, Newt Gingrich has run many different nonprofit organizations like, oh, I care about health care, I care about taxes, I care about this or that, right? All of them, boom, finances exploded. And then when they go bankrupt, he's like, me, I ain't got nothing to do with it. And he goes back on his fancy vacations. Remember the fancy vacations he got in trouble for while campaigning? He was going off on cruises and stuff. He owes millions of dollars. He's going on cruises. He doesn't give a damn. Now, of course, it's not the only person that has this issue. Others have it as well, although Newt has it on a larger scale. Former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson, a Republican and Libertarian Party candidate in 2012, owes $1.4 million. And MSNBC host Al Sharpton owes $925,714. Good luck getting that back. From his 2004 presidential bid. But Al's on it. He's going to get right back to you on that debt, okay? And even disgraced former Democratic Senator John Edwards still owes $331,000 from his 2008 campaign. You can kiss all that money goodbye. By the way, President Obama, owes a couple $1 million on his last campaign as well, but they rent out his email list. If you're on his email list, I got bad news for you. They rent it out to other people, get paid for that, and that debt will actually be erased. It's in the middle of doing that right now. So now let's go to the stories of the people who trusted in Newt Gingrich. One of them was Bo Harmon. And Huffington Post explains. Harmon said Newt's campaign still owes him about $25,000 from services rendered in 2012. Harmon said he organized volunteers who made phone calls and knocked on doors in Iowa, South Carolina, Nevada, and Arizona. Harmon himself spent 3 months living out of hotels, paying for his rooms, airfare, rental cars, and meals. He expected Gingrich's campaign to pay him back. It didn't. You see, that's the thing, man. These Republicans, they don't care about balanced budgets. They never balance their own budgets. They never balance the government's budget. Never. The last Republican president to do it when he left office was Eisenhower. Eisenhower. You like Ike? From how many decades ago? Yeah, no wonder. It's the last Republican to balance a budget. There's an argument about whether Nixon did it in 1 year. They never balanced the budget. Reagan never balanced the budget. George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, they never do it, right? They don't do it in their personal lives. They don't do it in government. They're lying to you. They think you're a sucker. So now the FEC forms show that Newt 2012 owes $127,727 to James Company. Now there's another guy, James, which employs 14 people. These are all small businesses and handled event planning, media outreach, and logistics for the campaign. James said it wasn't easy to absorb the loss. Now, of course it wasn't easy. Both guys running small businesses. James almost went out of business. Harmon was suffering, staying in crappy hotels. Meanwhile, you know, one of the big items for Newt Gingrich and who he owes money to is a jet company because he was taking private jets all across the country. He wasn't paying for it. He's supposed to pay for it. He says, hey, yeah, put it on my bill. Right? Now, that jet company I shed no tears for. They like Newt Gingrich. They want him to use his jet. In fact, you should look into whether they knew he wasn't going to pay him back, and then that which would have legal ramifications if you're just giving him $1.8 million and knowing that he's not going to pay you back. Okay, but the little guys, they're Republicans. They say throughout the story, like, my God, I really believed that I thought he could win and I thought he was going to do great stuff for the country. Instead, he nearly bankrupted you along with himself. And what has he been doing in the meanwhile? Again, Huffington Post reports, massive campaign debt does not appear to have hampered Gingrich's lifestyle, including exotic vacations and fancy events, glimpses of which he is continually sharing on social media. Here's a couple of pictures from his cruises and parties. Look, I'm sure there are more fancy ones, but I'm just amused by these. So there he is on one of his famous cruises, like, ha-ha, spending your money, dumbass. You thought I'd become president? No, I took your money, I jetted around the world, and here I am. Woohoo! And fancy places and sights and cruises. So often these Republican candidates take you for a sucker. Don't let them do that to you, okay? And the next time they talk about family values, know what that's about, by the way, Newt Gingrich. How many times has he been married and divorced? Divorced twice. I believe he left one of the women on her hospital bed. Married 3 times. Then talks about balanced budgets and never balances his own budget. And lives off of your hide. That's what Newt Gingrich and most of the Republican Party is all about.